For those that new coaches, my name is Dan Scavone. I am an executive staff member here at CIAC. And I know in soccer, our staff liaison is Mr. Greg Simon, our associate executive director. He is away on vacation tonight, so I'm going to fill in for him. Again, welcome to the Soccer Rules Clinic. We have boys and girls head coaches as well as assistants. This meeting will be recorded and it'll be posted on both the boys and girls main page of our website. So you can view it at any time and share it with some of your assistants if they can't make it tonight. I just want to talk briefly about one of the changes that our Sportsmanship Committee, CAC Sportsmanship Committee, took a hard look at sportsmanship throughout the year. And one of the changes that our Board of Control adopted was a change in the disqualification rule pertaining to coaches. So I want everybody to be aware that with the new rule, when a coach is ejected from any CIC contest, the coach is ineligible to participate in the next two contests at the same level of play. That is something that we've had in place for the last couple of years. However, really has not had a total positive effect on sportsmanship. And as coaches, we know you're key role models to the behavior of our student athletes. So this year, in addition, coaches who are disqualified at any level, besides being suspended for 2 games, the requirement will be to take 2 National Federation of High School coaching courses, teaching modeling behavior and sportsmanship. And then the school is assessed a $50 fine. So in addition to the game suspension and fine, the CIAC reserves the right to review any incident that results in a coach's DQ and may assess additional game suspensions up to and including a 1-year ban. So as Greg Simon said in the football meeting, this is something the Sportsmanship Committee wants to take a close, hard look at. And one way or another, sportsmanship has to improve. And there are several states out there that have similar policies. So that is the policy moving forward for the 2024 season.
We have a bunch of people in the waiting room.
Okay. They are all admitted. All right, so with having said that, that is the major change when it comes to the CIC Sportsmanship Committee's work this year. I'd like to turn it over now to Stephen Wallens, who is our state rule interpreter. And Stephen is part of the Central Connecticut Soccer Association. Just a reminder, if you have any rule interpretation questions or any points of emphasis that need to be reviewed, you should really seek out your local rule interpreter first. And if your local interpreter can't provide a satisfactory answer, or if they're looking to get more clarification, then we'll bring Stephen in to the fold and he can assist with that. Okay? So Stephen, you can share your screen and I'll continue to monitor as people enter the meeting.
Okay, so just one comment, on what the way we're laid out is, if not everyone knows, there are the states divided up into 6 regions from a referee point of view, and each region has its own interpreter. I'm with the central region, but I'm actually not the interpreter for the central region. I do some other job, but each of those people report to me as a state interpreter. Also, since the issue of sportsmanship came up already, almost every region is well short of referees, and we're hunting for more. So if you know people that need to ref, send them to your local board. We'd like to assign the best referee we can to every one of your games, but that doesn't happen. The average age, as you all know, is way too high. So we're still looking for more referees, but we're short. And we also lose quite a few every year. Some of it has to do with behavior, some of it doesn't. But we're all in that same boat. I know schools are still looking for coaches, especially for the JV games as well. Anyway, on to the interpretations. I took the 87-90 slide presentation that came from the National Federation of High School Soccer or Sports Officials and cut it down and got rid of a lot of the garbage and stuff you don't need to know. So it's a lot shorter now. Basically, there are three kinds of changes. There really are very few rule changes this year. If anyone can't hear me, make sure you say something. There are some basic editorial changes, and if you have a rule book, all that means is if you look on Law 4, expect to see something and it's not there, it's probably moved somewhere else. There are a couple of rule changes. It's really only a half a page, but there's quite a significant points of emphasis. So we will talk about that because that will affect how the referee thinks on the field a little bit. All right, so editorial changes, I'm not going to show any slides on that. It's just language cleanup in the rule book. Moving on. Rule changes. This is one of the two rule changes. Let me get rid of this. So there's all these issues with socks and what players do to socks and stuff like that. So if tape or a similar material, stays or straps, is applied externally to the socks above the ankle, it shall be of a similar color as that part of the sock to which it's applied. Below the ankle, it's pretty much anything goes now. So between the top of the shoe and the ankle, doesn't matter what the color anything is, the players can do whatever they want in that spot. I'll read the rationale. Athletes have the flexibility to modify socks within the existing regulations. Frequently, they remove the foot of one sock to layer another underneath, enhancing comfort or grip inside their shoes and fastening the top sock around the ankle. Any tape or similar material used above the ankle must match the sock's color, while at or below the ankle, any color is allowed. Referees are no longer required to oversee socks below the ankle. I will remind and caution you that whatever games they play, the shin guard has to be completely covered. There can't be the shin guard can't be showing. It has to always be completely covered by a sock. Okay. The book, I don't know if any of you ever see rule books, but they rewrote a lot of it, mostly editorial, better language, reorganization. Law 12, Rule 12, I should say, rules on fouls and misconduct has been completely reorganized. It is a lot more readable than it used to be. So it's eliminating duplicate language, improves usability. Basically, it looks a little bit more like the U.S. soccer rulebook. Sections are being rearranged, etc. The fouls and misconduct, I'll read again. The fouls and misconduct rule has been revised to eliminate duplicate language and improve usability. The main changes involve reorganizing the existing rule for clarity. Sections have been rearranged to enhance ease of reference, and this is the important part. A new section addressing stopping a promising attack has been included. Certain general language in the rule has been modified to align with other rule codes. Section 6, ejections, provides an ordered list of offenses by severity to allow associations more flexibility for determining post-game sanctions for misconduct. Additionally, an article has been added to clarify that all necessary conditions must be met for DOGSO. Denial of an obviously goal-scoring opportunity to be applicable. We'll get into that again. All right. So rule change. Again, it's more of a language change. Direct and indirect free kick fouls now have their own sections in the rules. It's a logical grouping of fouls with similar characteristics, but there's no actual change. Someone's in the waiting room. And again, we also made some just terminology changes. High school has many years been sticking with the term obstruction. They have finally officially changed it to impeding, which basically matches the rest of the world. The term disqualification has been replaced by the term ejection. And again, it's just reflecting more nationally common terminology. There's no actual rule change. So a lot of the remaining time will be to talk about stopping a promising attack. Again, there's not really any rule change in the sense that in the law book, there's a half a page total on rule changes. But if you look at last year's rule book, it had as a reason for a caution, committing a tactical foul. That's really all it said. And then in the definitions in the back of the book, it connected the concept of a tactical foul to stopping a promising attack. Now we have a whole new section. It's actually section 7, that section 8's a typo, about stopping a promising attack. So in this case, on the picture, we see a tackle. It's an attempt to play the ball, but there are 2 defenders between the goal and the goalkeeper. So Rule 12 now includes the criteria for stopping a promising attack. A new section addressing the considerations for stopping a promising attack serves as a crucial clarification in the rules, specifically addressing what was previously referred to as a tactical foul. While the considerations are clear for obvious goal-scoring opportunities, promising attacks may be more difficult to recognize. So this is a main thread for referees this year. Someone's in the waiting room. The new section assists officials in identifying plays where an attacking opportunity with clear potential has been halted through a foul. So we'll note on the slide, one of the DOGSO criteria is missing in the play pick because you have those 2 defenders between the keeper and the attacker. So since there are too many defenders between the careless foul and the goal, while the offender has not denied an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, they should be cautioned, a foul should be called, and they should be cautioned for stopping a promising attack. All right, so Article 4 in Section 8 provides guidance that all elements must be satisfied for obvious goal-scoring opportunities. This is an addition. Article 4 is new. All 4 of these things have to be there for the more serious issue of DOGSO. Distance between the offense and the goal, general direction of play, likelihood of keeping control of the ball, and in the previous picture, there were defenders in the way. Notice in this picture, the defenders are missing. So this goes from stopping a promising attack to DOGSO now. And now you'll notice there's a red card being shown instead of a yellow card. So all 4 considerations are met and warrant the offender's ejection for denying an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. I will note that if the same play happened inside the penalty area and the foul was an attempt to play the ball, there'd be a penalty kick, but only a caution. And that is a change that got made in previous years. All right, so points of emphasis. So basically, this really translates to, hey, this is stuff that's going wrong in the games we've watched over the past few years. From a referee point of view, from a coach point of view, from an everybody point of view, these are things we'd like to be better. There'll still be promising attack discussed here. All right, so stopping a promising attack. Again, now we're in the points of emphasis section. The strategy of tactically fouling, and again, I'm going to read stuff more than I would have because I know there are a few people that can't see a screen and are on their phones. The strategy of tactically fouling with the aim to interrupt the attacking team's progress without necessarily denying an obvious goal-scoring opportunity is a form of misconduct. Rule 12 highlights the importance of discerning the nature of these types of tactical offenses for consistent and fair officiating. The inclusion of the considerations for a promising attack serve as a crucial clarification in the rules, specifically addressing what was previously referred to as tactical fouls. While the considerations are clear for obvious goal-scoring opportunities, promising attacks may be more difficult to recognize. So fouls that stop a promising attack might not be severe, but the offense's impact on the attacking team's potential needs to be recognized and dealt with accordingly. Officials need to understand the nuanced dynamics of play, maintaining a tactical awareness of the phase of play, and recognize stopping a promising attack incidents. So referees are tasked with evaluating multiple factors to determine the promise of an attack. These include things like player positioning, ball control, defensive presence, the pace of the team and how they're moving. And again, unlike the OGSO, you don't need everything to be happening. One of these considerations a referee could consider enough for stopping a promising attack. Any foul disrupting a promising attack is considered misconduct, warranting a caution and a yellow card for the offending player. If stopping a promising attack occurs within the defender's penalty area and the foul is an attempt to play the ball, the player is not cautioned. It's still a penalty kick. This sort of goes along with the fact that if you have an attempt to play the ball outside the penalty area, it's going to be a red card for obvious goal scoring opportunity, yellow for stopping a promising attack. If it's in the penalty area and you're awarding a penalty kick, then obvious goal scoring opportunity is only going to be a yellow, and stopping a promising attack is going to not be a card at all. Somebody needs to mute. This again is only for a foul where there's an attempt to play the ball. If it's grabbing a shirt or something else that's not an attempt to play the ball, then you don't get that benefit. It would still be a red card for obvious goal scoring opportunity and a yellow for stopping a promising attack and a penalty kick. And that's really covered in this slide. In other stopping a promising attack circumstances inside the penalty area, like holding, pulling, pushing, no possibility to play the ball, the offending player would get the caution in addition to the penalty kick. Someone's in the waiting room. All right, so that's the discussion on stopping a promising attack. I'm going to go through this really quickly. It's in the points of emphasis. The various areas can use this stuff for teaching, but officials' toolbox for game management. Referees have a variety of skills, techniques, and strategies within their toolbox to effectively officiate a match and maintain control over players, coaches, and the game environment. These tools include communication, using verbal and nonverbal cues to convey decision instructions, warnings, and working with game site administration to facilitate a positive game environment. Game control, using authority to manage the tempo and flow of the game, intervening to calm tensions, preventing conflicts, and address unsporting behavior. Waiting room. Development. Within the explanation of misconduct, both coaches and officials should approach interactions with respect and maintain professionalism. I'll stop here just to bring up a comment. I know in the past few years, one of the issues has been that the referees are not telling the coaches or going over and explaining to the coaches what the misconduct was. We've been pushing our referees to do that. But again, the positive feedback for doing that is it can be a conversation without causing a problem. Adaptability. Referees must adapt to changing circumstances and adjusting their officiating style based on the level of play, the behavior of players, and unexpected developments during the match. So I'll just finish up on that. Again, as I said earlier, I would love it if we had 1,000 referees in the state that were all in their 20s and 30s and very experienced, but we don't. We do the best we can, and we're looking for more people, and it takes time to get good at this. All right, the next point of emphasis is after a goal, which is telling me that there have been a lot of problems around the country about what's happening after a goal. So after a goal is scored, officials must stay alert. In addition to administrative tasks, officials must be vigilant for any signs of tension or potential misconduct and address issues promptly to prevent situations from escalating. And obviously coaches can help with this too. Key aspects include working as a team to determine if the goal was in fact scored properly, identifying and addressing any unsporting actions or misconduct. The officiating crew must monitor players for excessive or inappropriate behavior, such as taunting, potential confrontations, dissent, or other provocative actions. Officials should focus on the players, recognize situations that could lead to conflicts, be present and proactive in their responses, and deal with misconduct appropriately. And there's another slide I didn't include for the referees, that referees should work on getting players back in their own half of the fields as quickly as possible. So that's the end of the presentation. Compared to previous years, there are really very few rule changes. And but I did want to cover all that stuff on stopping a promising attack, even though it's not technically a change, because referees are going to be seeing these slides, and hopefully, theoretically, there will be more cautions and more whistles for stopping a promising attack. All right, I'm going to unshare. All right, do we have questions?
Quick question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, on stopping the impeding attack, when you showed that slide of the just the player outside the box and he's doing a slide tackle, if that player gets the ball, is it then considered impeding the attack? Or if it's that the player does not get the ball?
All right, so getting the ball, it's a problem because it's generally not relevant. It really isn't. It's the tackle itself. Is the tackle an attempt to play the ball? Getting the ball or not really doesn't matter, isn't it? Does the referee consider the tackle a relatively safe attempt to get the ball without hurting the player? That's what really matters. I mean, I've had people say, the player got the ball, but the player also was behaving in a very dangerous manner, and getting the ball simply doesn't matter. They're not saying the referee is not going to include that in their judgment, but the referee is thinking, is it simply a careless tackle, or is it a reckless tackle? The words that are been used for the last few years, and even longer with USSF, is careless means a foul, reckless means generally a caution, and not caring about the player at all would be a red card. So again, getting the ball might be part of what the referee thinks about, but the referee is going to be looking at the tackle itself. If the player goes through the player's legs and gets the ball, that could be a red card just for the foul, for example. Doesn't matter that he eventually got the ball. If the tackle was a reasonable attempt to play the ball that looked only careless and not endangering the opponent, then if the player missed the ball, it doesn't make it any worse. Did that answer the question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? Dan's back. Dan, you're muted.
Yes, I am. I'm just going back and forth. We have a statewide field hockey meeting going on at the same time.
I mean, there are other sports?
There are others.
Okay.
How we do for questions? Let me look in the chat. I guess there's one question for me. It says, how do we know if we're accounted for during attendance? I'll address that. We say it's mandatory for head coaches to attend a rules clinic meeting, and it's really based on the honor system. I mean, you should want to attend a rules meeting. It doesn't have to be this one. We offer this for one reason with our state interpreter, because we want to try to get one message out with the philosophy of our state interpreter, who watches the NFHS rule interpretation meeting, a national meeting, in preparation for this. But I know after COVID, many leagues are going back to the in-person preseason meetings. And if you have one of the local rule interpreters present at that meeting, that satisfies the requirement. We ask that assistant coaches view it as well. So what we do is, like, this meeting is being recorded right now. It'll be posted on the boys and girls soccer page. You can go back and review it at any time. And those who could not make attendance tonight are simply going to do that to meet the requirement. So, and when I talked about disqualifications earlier, I will tell you that many of the DQs that occur are with sub-varsity coaches. So that's why it's important that they get a firm understanding of rules and regulations as well, and really learn communication techniques when it comes to working with officials. So these are for your benefit. And I appreciate everybody. I mean, we have an attendance of about 136 tonight. That's outstanding. So I really appreciate everybody taking the time and hopefully, again, reviewing this as it gets posted on our website. So I hope that answers the question about attendance. And I don't see any other questions for you, Stephen, at this time.
All right.
So I have a question, actually. Nick from Woodland High School, boys soccer. The question has to do with offsides. Did anything change on that? Or am I skipping ahead?
I'll quickly go look at it, but I don't think there's any change at all to the offside rule. There were some changes last year to define what deliberately playing the ball meant.
Right.
This year, there are 0 changes.
Okay. I'm just asking because there was a lot of talk during the Euro and during the Copa about is an arm, hand.
Right.
Off.
So if you're been involved in both organizations for the years, you will note that changes that occur and interpretations that change in the rest of the world tend to get to NFHS anywhere from 1 to 4 years later.
Okay,
like the whole stopping a promising attack has been part of world soccer and the IFAB rules for about 3 or 4 years now.
Okay. Noted. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Has there been no changes to the handball rule, correct? It can be from the shoulder down?
Yes, I'm going to verify it while I look, but yes, they did rewrite that section. So handling now has its own little section, but there are no changes. For the purpose, this is the wording, for the purposes of determining handling offenses, the upper boundary of the arm is in line with the bottom of the armpit. And that's the same as last year.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Dan, you're muted.
All right, Stephen, I don't see any other questions in the chat. So if nobody else speaks up, I think we can close the meeting.
I see a hand on a Nicholas Fernandez.
He already asked that question. That was
He already asked. Okay.
Yep.
And you have someone in the waiting room, or you took care of that. All right, I'm good to go.
You're good to go. I really appreciate it, Stephen. You did an excellent job tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Again, for the coaches, these will be posted probably within the next few days, maybe mid next week. And again, on the boys and girls soccer pages, feel free to share it with your assistants and view it as need be. And again, if there's questions during the year, please, refer those to your local interpreter first. All right. Everybody have a great season. Thank you.
Great season, everybody. Bye-bye.